right. Hello, everybody, and welcome in 2026. Happy New Year. So, this is a new season for the stream, and I have some really exciting things that I want to implement. Well, at least I think they're exciting. And they will be super useful for me. So if you are a subscriber to my newsletter, then you will probably have noticed that I'm using the app that we're building here to power the newsletter. One, I use it to collect interesting articles, and two, I've got an MCP server and a CLI that I use to connect to the data and then pull it into my newsletter engine and help me draft my newsletters. And so far, the app is really good at collecting stuff, but it's hard to select the stuff that I want to use in a newsletter. And so I thought implementing a tagging system would be super useful, and that's what we're going to work on. So today, we're going to look at the data model, and then we'll see how far we can go with the implementation. I plan to use Gemini CLI and Antigravity and whatever else is useful, probably a couple of skills. So it's going to be quite exciting because I think I'll start building out the, can you even say it's an integrated development environment anymore? Well, it's an agentic environment. So we'll enhance this as we go. Also, if you're here because you think this is a tutorial that you can follow along, you'll probably be disappointed because it's really not meant for that. So I'm not paying attention to making sure that you can follow along all of the steps. And the reason why is that this is very, very difficult in a live stream. So it would require a lot more preparation to make that happen. Maybe at one point I will create a tutorial to implement part of what we're doing here. Maybe not. But you know, it's mostly to have some live streaming and live coding experience, and for you to follow along, maybe be inspired, maybe learn one thing or the other, and hopefully have fun while watching. Speaking of which, so I see we've got people from all over the place. So we've got viewers from Los Angeles. I think if I recall correctly, Lars is from Hanover. Is that right, Lars? Can you confirm? And then Beverly to Austin. I don't know, Beverly, do you live in Austin, in Texas, or is that just a coincidence? So why don't you, say where you're dialing in from, and also what you're most interested in. So are you most interested in seeing me talk about the data model? Are you most interested in seeing me use agentic coding tools? Are you most interested in, I don't know, like UI design? What is it that you're interested in, or what is it that you would like me to focus on? Feel free to drop it in the chat. Let's get started. So maybe one more thing that I need to do is I really need to make sure that I can properly see this screen. Maybe not. No signal. Okay. Let's try this one. No. No signal either. Okay. So I've got a monitor right in front of my teleprompter, and I typically use it to better look into the camera, but it doesn't seem to get a signal. That's really weird. Anyways, we'll just make do. Oh, so it's completely blank now. Well. Okay. Well, there we go. Okay, so let me switch to my other screen here. There we go. Let's make a little bit more space. Okay, so for anybody who's new here, let's quickly go through the application. So we've got this main screen here, which has a list of articles that I've saved. There are two main ways to how to get articles in. So you can use this plus button here and you can paste the URL to add the article, or you can paste it from Safari or Chrome using an extension. And you can also paste it using the share extension. So let's quickly see if that is operational. Weather in Chicago, interesting. Let's see what's new on the Firebase blog. Oh, look at that. Improve AI output with continuous improvement, written by Dan and Alex, better known as Nohi. So I can go here and then share, and then hopefully we'll have this icon here. I can share to Sophia. It will extract the metadata from the blog post, and this is the first part where we will later see the tagging system. So in addition to being able to add notes, for example, oh, this looks interesting, I want to be able to add tags to anything that I save. Okay, so now I've added this to the application, and now if we go in here, it appears in the lists, and I can go in and read this in the lists with a simplified formatting. Let's quickly take a look at the data model. So we are in the Firebase console for the project, and let me quickly go to Firestore, and here is our collection of articles that we saved. And so there is a bunch of articles in here because I've been using the application myself. And what we're currently looking at, and let me make more space. What we're currently looking at is one of the articles that I've saved into my own account, I guess. So it contains an author field for the person who is the blog post author, created at, an excerpt, the full text, which is the simplified text, and a bunch of other flags. For example, if it's archived, if it's flagged, if it's marked as read. We've got the readable HTML and reading time, title, URL. So what we need is to have some sort of mechanism to store tags, right? So let's maybe let's try to model this. So I'm going to create a new collection here, and So one way we could do this, let's call this demo, and then have a document, and this has a title, test1, and then we could say, okay, so we'll have another field for tags, and this is of type string. So one way how we could do that is to have a string, and then just have a comma-separated list of tags, like so. Tag 1, tag 2, tag 3, right? So let's save that. So that would be possible, right? That's probably the most straightforward way to store this, but it has a couple of problems. So one of them is you always have to parse what's going on here. So you always have to parse the commas and the spaces. Also, it's probably extremely difficult to search for that. So if we wanted to find all the documents that match tag 2, for example, we would have to specify a query that says, well, find me all of the documents that contain tag 2 as a substring. And that's not possible. So let's try a different approach. So let's create a new document. It has a title, which is a string, test2, and then we've got another field for the tags, and that can be an array. So, and that array can, for example, be a string. So tag 1, tag 2, tag 3. Okay, so, and this will work a lot better, right? So let's see what Gemini thinks about this data model. Hey, I want to implement a tagging system, and I'm thinking about using a field on my Firestore document that is an array of strings. Is that a good way to model this? Okay, so let's see if Gemini in Firebase can help us with that. Hey, Michaela, good to see you. Happy New Year. Okay, so using an array of strings in a Firestore document is indeed a common and effective way to model a tagging system. Firestore supports arrays, and you can query documents based on whether an array field contains a specific value using the array contains operator. This makes it straightforward to retrieve all documents associated with a particular tag. And then it gives an example. And then consider the complexity of your search requirements. If you only need to find documents with exact tag matches, array contains works well. And I think that is definitely the case for us, right? So typically what you have is in this, on this main screen here, we would probably have an area where we've got a list of all the tags that the user has already used, and that would show the number of documents or the number of links that have the same tag. And then you would click on that and you would see all of the tags that, you would see all of the links that have that tag. You would not have the case where the user would start typing in a partial tag and expect all documents to be listed. So that definitely works for us. Searching or filtering documents, yep. Okay. it's really funny that even inside the Firebase console, Gemini has this habit of having this follow-up question for you, right? So you ask a question and it's like, here is your answer. Oh, by the way, I've got a question for you. So that's really funny. So does Gemini have access to the Firebase database is what Michaela wants to know. So I guess your question is if Firebase and Gemini has access to the database. Last I checked, it didn't. We can try. Can you check my Firestore instance and tell me which collections it contains. Oh, let's see. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Yeah, so here we go. I cannot directly access your live Firebase project due to security and privacy limitations to list the collections in your Firestore instance. However, based on the Firestore configuration you provided, particularly the index definitions, it appears you have collections, or at least the connections and artifacts. That is very interesting. So it does seem to have access to, did I say artifacts somewhere? No, I didn't, right? So it somehow seems to have access to, let's ask a follow-up question. How many, is there another collection? So what, another way to do that might be the Firebase MCP server. So which tools does it have? Firebase read resources, Firestore query collection, and Firestore list collections, right? So I could connect to the Firebase MCP server for my project from the Gemini CLI or from my IDE, for example, from Claude or from Cursor or from Antigravity, and then it could connect to my Firestore instance and use the Firestore list collections command to get the list of collections, right? So that would definitely be something that we could do. Okay, so right, data model. So I think what we should do is, or what I'm going to do is, I'm going to implement a tagging system that makes use of storing tags as array or as an array of elements. I'm not yet quite sure if I'm going to just store strings, right? Because I might want to also store a color. So, right, I might want to say, well, I want to colorize my tags. So that might be an idea to pursue in the future. For now, let's keep it simple and just store strings. If I ever wanted to store anything else in the tags collection, in the tags array, I could totally do that if I do it this way. So here's my title, demo 3, add a field. These are my tags, and the tags are an array, and the array contains a where is it? I think a map, right? Yeah. So, and then in the map, I would have the name of the tag, tag 1, and then I would have the color, and the color could be red, for example, or an RGB value, right? Let's pick an RGB value. Okay. And then I might have even more fields, right? Created at, for example. And that might be a timestamp. Today and now. Good. So this is how it might look like. And then for mapping this back to my Swift structs, I can do the following: Firestore map documents to Swift structs. So it should give us a couple of links. I once wrote a blog post, this one here, and this is about just using Codable. There is a more complete one. Well, apparently it's no longer highly indexed, because this one here in the documentation now is the canonical documentation about it. So it is based on a blog post I wrote a long time ago, but it's still applicable today, and it should contain a section about arrays. And here we go. So if you want to store something in an array, you can just say my struct is codable, and then here I've got the thing that I want to be an array. In this case, it's genres. In our case, it would be tags, and then you specify the type. In this case, it is a string. But here, this example is about tags. So here it shows how you could do the same if you have tags. And there we go, right? Cool. So with this in place, I think we can get coding. I spelled color wrong. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I spelled it that way on purpose. Okay, so here is the code, but instead of using Xcode, let's see how far we can get with Antigravity. So let me think. Yeah, we'll open it here. Oops. No, a bunch of windows disappeared. Okay. Open with Antigravity. And this apparently is on the wrong monitor. So let's get this here. Okay, let's get this set up. Antigravity is based on VS Code. It's Google's agentic coding environment. And I want to use it to help me build this thing here. Okay. I want to implement a tagging system for this application. Can you please take a look at the source code and suggest places that we need to edit in order to implement this? Okay, so while it's researching, we can have a look at, oh, we've opened the wrong folder. So I'll show you why. So I've organized this in packages, and we've opened the Sophia folder, but a lot of stuff is in the packages folder. So Antigravity will probably not be able to understand this very well. Yeah, I attempted to list packages, but it failed. Okay, we'll just stop here and open the correct folder. Good. So now this should be better. There's also a Gemini.md file, which should contain information about the project. So let's see. I want to implement a tagging system for artifacts. Please review the code base and help me make an implementation plan. Okay, so we need to be a little bit more specific here. I want to be able to add any number of tags to an artifact. Tags might be simple tags like the following. And now we'll list some. Tag 1, tag 2, SwiftUI, AI, Firebase, or they might be nested, like this, and then iOS/SwiftUI, iOS/SwiftData. Stop. Come on. Okay. The tags should be stored in a suitable way in Firestore, and I want you to recommend how to best do that. I also want to show this in the UI. So there are a couple of places where I want to show this. One, in each of the artifact list items in the main artifact list view. So let's take a quick look at the app. So I want the tags to be listed down here at the bottom of each of the cells. There also needs to be some form of input field on the artifact metadata dialog, and that is this one. So if you go here, that is the artifact metadata dialog. What else? Oh yeah. And in the artifact details view as well. Let me think. Oh, so good thing I made a list of things that I wanted to implement. So let's find this. Okay, so here is a PRD that I engineered beforehand. And it contains a bunch of user stories. It shows how the artifact document should look like. It also has details about the data structure. And then it contains details about the implementation. So this is what I went through beforehand. But let's see what we still need. So we need a tagging dialog. We need artifact list item. Yep. Details view, tag overview screen. Yeah, there is a bunch of stuff that we don't yet need. And then where is my window? Okay. There also should be a list of all of the user's tags on the main overview screen. Okay. Please go ahead and analyze the code base and come up with an implementation plan for this feature. Show it to me for approval. All right, so let's see what it comes back with. And then see how far we can get. All right. So it's already found the key packages, artifact model. It located the artifact. Let me make the window wider. Okay, this should work. The remote store, this is where we define the Firestore artifact. The artifact editor view, this is our the screen where we can edit the metadata. What else did it find? Okay, it's looking for the overview screen. Artifact list screen. Oh, that's really nice. Did you see that? The mini map pays attention to our marker comments. Look at that. So here I've got this marker comment saying this is navigation, and look at that. This is listed here, and there is search. Right? That's very cool. That is pretty sweet. Also, look at how long this screen is, 500 lines of code. Okay, so I've analyzed the code base and created an implementation plan. It involves updating the artifact model, Firestore storage, and adding UI support in the editor, list, viewer, and overview screens. Please review the plan. I will do so. So, I will implement a flexible tagging system for nested tags. Great. Okay, I will interpret tags as simple strings. Nested tags will be stored as is. That is exactly what, well, I don't know if that is exactly what I was hoping for, but it's definitely a useful approach. Yeah, I will allow users to enter tags as comma-separated list or space-based hashtags. I will implement a parser to extract these into the tags array. Nice. Okay, so the artifact needs to be modified, and we will add a tags string to the artifact protocol and artifact struct. So this is exactly what I showed you in the documentation. Then it'll needs to make a couple of updates to the initializer and the equatable conformance. Then we'll need to update the artifact remote store because that is how we get stuff into Firestore. So this needs to be added to the artifact, Firestore artifact, because that conforms to the artifact protocol. There is a function that updates the metadata, so it needs to include the tags. Then we, oh, that's interesting. Add a computed property to retrieve all unique tags for the overview screen. Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, this is something that we could either do as a computed property or a database access. And that is another thing that we should probably talk about. How do we store all of the user's tags, right? Because so far, I've shown you that my plan is to, and let's go back to this document, my plan is to store the tags this way. So I have an array of tags on this collection, on this array of tags on this document here. And any other document can contain the same tags, right? So I could set up another document and title, add another field of type array tags, and that could have tag 1 as well, and then tag 11. Save. So here we have tag 1, tag 11, and here we have tag 1 as well. So how can we find out what is the set of all the tags? We don't possibly want to fetch all of the user's documents and then look at the tags collection. So we need to have some other way to store this. And the way to do this in a document-based NoSQL database is to have another collection that contains the list of tags. So let's see if Antigravity suggested this as well. So here we've got the artifact editor view. So we want to add a new text field for tags. We need to add a row to display that using a small h-stack of pills below the title excerpt. Well, you know, there are a couple of things that we need to discuss here. Artifact viewer, display tags in the metadata section or bottom bar. Add new section tags to the overview screen. Okay. Navigate, yeah. I mean, this is pretty key. So let's add a couple of comments here. So, for example, this artifact list row view. I don't know if using a small h-stack will work. What I really want is if the number of tags is too large to be shown on one line, use up to, I don't know, let's use up to 3 lines to display them. Okay. This is good. Okay. Verification plan. Okay, so it's a manual verification, that's okay. And so I really want to know how it's going to store the list of all the tags. Can you please tell me how you're going to store the list of all of the user's tags? I'm specifically interested in how you're going to store this in Firestore. Okay. Let's see. So while we're waiting for it to come back, have you used Antigravity before? And what's your experience? And if you haven't used Antigravity, which other agentic IDE have you used? And what was your experience with what it was able to build for you? Was it, one-shot coding, like give it a prompt and then you get something, or was it a more frustrating experience? So, all tag storage. I will not create a separate what? That is interesting. Okay, so I will not create a separate collection for tags. Instead, I will derive the all tags list dynamically from the artifacts loaded in Artifact Remote Store. This ensures 100% data consistency, no ghost tags if an artifact is deleted, and simplifies the data model. This works well because we already load the user's artifacts into memory. That is true. I mean, we load all of the user's artifacts into memory, which is going to be a scalability problem at one point. Tag navigation is added that, and it will use a flow layout. Okay, so okay, I'm going to challenge that. Don't you think that it would be better to store this as a separate top-level collection and key this on the signed-in user so that we can manage separate tags for all of the users of the system? I feel this would be a much cleaner database model. So add a comment. Let's see. I challenge your data model. Okay, so tagging seems to be quite popular. Noe also used Antigravity to respin his blog, and he used Antigravity to implement tags. Michaela hasn't used Antigravity. She's using Claude Code. Yeah. Okay, so this keeps the data model cleaner and allows for independent tag management. So we will get a tag remote store. Tags collection, artifacts collection. Yep. So the tags collection will be a unified collection where each document represents a tag having a name and a user ID and the count. So, and that is going to be quite interesting because we will somehow have to keep the count up to date. So every time that the user adds a new document and uses a tag, we'll also need to make sure that we increment the count for how many times that tag has been used. And there are a couple of ways to do this. One of them is to do that from the client. So we get the current value of the tag, and then we'll increment the value, and then we write it back together with our artifact document in an atomic operation to make sure that it either completes successfully completely or it fails completely. And the other way to do it is to implement a Firestore listener, and that would listen to any changes to the artifact documents, and whenever there is a change, when it realizes, oh, a new document has been stored, it would go through all of the tags on that document and then increment their count on the tags collection. So, and here it says it's going to do that from the client. Renaming a tag in the tags manager would require a batch update of artifacts, but for now we focus on creation and listing. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a challenge in NoSQL databases. If you rename something somewhere, you'll have to update it everywhere. Oh yeah, no, do you want to share the link to your blog? People seem to be interested in having a look. So, free promo. So, what else? I mean, this doesn't look too bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to oh, sorry, I need to make more space on my screen. So I'm going to take this and then I'm going to copy this as Markdown and then paste it here. Okay, so I've already put together a PRD. Can you please compare your implementation plan to this PRD and then tell me if we are missing any crucial items that we would need for an MVP implementation? So I'm going to paste this here and then let's see what we've missed so far. Oh, by the way, so since we're simultaneously streaming to Twitter and to LinkedIn, let's see how these are doing. So it seems like LinkedIn is holding up well. How about X? Can't see it there. I'll just go see on my phone. Okay. Well, I see a loading spinner, but maybe that's just me. If you're watching this on Twitter, let me know if it works or if it doesn't. Post a comment. Okay, so where are my comments? Live chat. There we go. So, analyzing PRD gaps. So, the PRD contains details about some backend implementation. So, identified key gaps, rich tag picker, usage counting, and batch rename delete logic. Oh, it's updated the plan to include all of these. That's going to be much more complicated. Okay, let's see what happened. Tag picker, user story 1. Okay, I think this made things a little bit more difficult. Okay, let's dial back. Let's dial this back a little bit. I think we made the PRD or the implementation plan a lot more complicated than we need. Can you remove the tag picker view again? And also the rename and delete logic. I think we can address this later. So what I find funny is that every time you give a comment, it says, I've decided to streamline things significantly. It seems like it's taking on part of the user's personality when doing that, right? It's not, I told it to, and then it's like, oh yeah, I had a sudden change of mind. It's so funny. Okay, so simple text field for entering tags. Remove, rename, and delete interfaces. Retain a separate tag collection and tag remote store to maintain usage count and a clean data model as you suggested. This strikes a good balance, robust backend data model and simple MVP UI, ready to build. Okay, so let's see. So this change here is probably just because I opened the project in Xcode. Okay. So, one thing to note is that, so let's see if we have any MCP servers installed, manage MCP servers. So there are a bunch of MCP servers that this has access to. So, for example, there is one that goes into my knowledge base, there is another one that goes into Firebase, there is another one that goes to GitHub, and this one here is not correctly configured. So in terms of tooling, that is probably everything that Antigravity has access to, but I've installed flawed, and that is probably not configured correctly, so I am going to deactivate that. So let's see, flawed, disable, and then there's a bunch of stuff. I didn't install the PHP stuff, I want to say, in my defense. So that probably just came in because I've been using Typist, which is not written in PHP at all, but once I started using it for some reason, Antigravity started installing PHP. I have no idea why. Okay, so I think we're good to start the implementation. Yes, please go ahead. Take it one step at a time and make sure that you implement this carefully and thoroughly. Okay. Good. So let's see what happens. Okay. So first of all, we're going to add this field for the tags. So this looks good. So far, so good. So there are a bunch of places where we need to add this. It needs to update the equality requirements here. It implemented a, that is interesting. So completely new file that I created, what, more than a year ago. I don't think so. So that is completely hallucinated. We get a tag remote store. No such module artifact store model. Okay. So the interesting question will be how well Antigravity can deal with Swift code. Because other than, does it have access to, yeah. So we've got Swift Lang installed. So it's Swift language support for Visual Studio. I don't know if this is good enough to help. So we might need to install a couple of tools to make it better. Oh wow, it's already progressing to the UI updates. Well, we've got a flow layout view. Where is it? So what I like is that apparently it's smart enough to understand that I like two-space indents. But I'm not quite sure if this is just VS Code kicking in the formatter automatically. Might well be the case. Okay, we've got our artifact list row view. And here is the part of the view where we are going to display the tags. Oh, interesting. So apparently it's adding the hashtag. So that means when we enter a tag, it might remove the hashtag. That's going to be interesting. All right, so what else? Overview screen, where is it? Okay. Yeah, so the reason why we get a bunch of errors here is that Antigravity doesn't yet understand the project correctly. So, and that's why it says, well, you know, we can't find the analytics package. I mean, where is it? Here, there is one. Okay, look at that. So we've got, it updated the mock data stuff as well. Nice, and it's being smart, right? So, oops. So for this piece of mock data, it said, okay, so this title here is SwiftUI hero animations with navigation transition. So the tags are SwiftUI, iOS, and animation. I like that. And what else do we have? Oh, it's just added this to the one. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, and here you can see that, for example, when adding a new artifact, it will also increment the usage for all of the tags that are on this artifact. And that's probably not going to be an atomic update. So, well, yeah. The cool thing though is that it understands that you can use async streams to subscribe to authentication state changes, which is something that we implemented a couple of months ago in December, I think, in the live stream. So that is a feature that is in a branch that I'm hopefully able to land in a couple of days. It's been conditionally approved, so most of it is approved. It's just the real-time database pods that I'm still waiting for approval on. Oh wow! Now we're doing some HTML injection. Okay, so I'm guessing that it's trying. So because we have the preview of an article, and that is to a large part just a web view, and I assume that it's trying to inject the tags into that HTML. Okay, I have successfully implemented the tagging system for artifacts in Sophia. This feature allows users to add tags to artifacts, view them in the list and detailed views, and filter artifacts by tags. So here are the changes. We added a tags property. We created a new tag model with usage count tracking. We added a remote store, and we updated the artifact remote store. The list row view now displays tags as chips. The editor view added a tag section with readable text view for comma-separated input. Overview screen has a tag section and the sidebar. Artifact list filter dialog added support for filtering by tags. Ooh, that's interesting. I didn't specify that, but it makes sense. Artifact list screen updated to handle tag filtering and display the active filter state. Okay, so verification, manual verification. Open an artifact, click edit and add tags, save. View the tags appear on the list row. Go to the main screen. You should see a tag section with Swift and SwiftUI list with counts. Tap a tag in the overview. You should see only artifacts with that tag. And then remove a tag from an artifact. Verify the count in overview updates. Should fall. Okay, so let's go to Xcode and let's see if this still compiles. I'm really curious. Oh, there we go. Oh. Type user does not conform to the sendable protocol. Okay, so now I can obviously go back and forth and oh wow, yeah. And tell it about all the errors. So in this case, let's take a quick look at what the problem is. So the thing is, the user type that we receive from Firestore, from Firebase auth, that does not yet support sendable because it might be modified. But usually it's not. So I had the same problem over here in the artifact remote store. And what I did was I basically just marked Firebase auth and Firebase Firestore as pre-concurrency. So I am curious if, where are my errors? If Antigravity is smart enough to fix this. I've noticed that there is a compile error. Can you please have a look at that? And then suggests measures to fix this. Please wait for my approval before making any changes. So obviously this is not a great way to work, right? I mean, like if there were more than just like this compile error where I already know how to fix it and I'm just trying to see if Antigravity is capable of fixing it. So ideally we want to set up Antigravity in a way that it understands the project more properly. But let's first have a look at if it understood what the problem is. The error occurs because the user class from Firebase auth does not conform to sendable, but the flat map latest operator requires its input to be sendable, and that is why we have this issue. Since you only use the user ID and inside the closure, the best fix is to extract the UID earlier in the chain. String is sendable, so this resolved the error. Proposed changes. Yeah, we could do that. Let's take a look. Hello. Open this. Okay, so it suggests not just taking the user, but the user ID. So that is actually not such a bad idea. Yes. Okay. Okay, fix applied. Let's recompile. Build failed. Ooh. So that is interesting. Okay, so this was not good enough. And also let's copy this one over. Unfortunately, this didn't solve the problem, and also there is this other compiler error here. Okay, and that is the moment when we should probably install a tool like Xcode build MCP to give Antigravity the tools to compile this project itself. And that might actually be the next thing that we try. But let's first see. I've implemented the fix. Ooh, what did it do? By capturing DB and collection name into local constants before the closure, we ensure that the closure uses these captured values instead of trying to access self.db. Oh, okay, so it did that. Well, I'm not so sure about that. Well, let's try. Build failed. No. Unfortunately, this does not work. Can you please roll back all those changes that you made in order to fix the compiler errors? And then you need to use the add pre-concurrency attribute to mark the imports for Firebase authentication and Firebase Firestore. This is the real fix. I mean, okay, we're just doing this for this one thing here. And then I'm curious if the rest compiles fine. Okay, so it's using pre-concurrency. Let's see. So, yeah, this one is back to what we had. Please verify. I will do that. Okay, well, whoa. Come on. You're kidding me. Oh. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, so let's look at this. So oh, self.db.collection. Oh yeah. I know. See, this is what I did over there. Okay. And what? So where is this from? Artifact editor view. This belongs here, this belongs here. This is hard to find. So this looks like an issue here. Okay, we're building. Okay. It compiles. Now, okay. So now we have 0 items in the inbox. So why is that? This is because we have a problem when... Oh, okay. So then, I think there are several issues that might cause this. And I think this is the problem here. Listen for query at tags failed, missing or insufficient permission. And that is very likely because we haven't set up security rules for this. Here we go. Security rules. Okay. Don't do this. This security rules file here is wide open. So you should definitely implement more security rules than this, and that's what we need to do before we put this into production. But for now, during development, it is okay-ish. So what's the collection name? Was it tags? Tag remote store. Collection name is tags, correct. And then tag publish. Oh wait, we'll remove this line. Publish. Right. So, and let's restart the app. Okay, we might need to wait a little bit. Let's try this again. And see what happens on the log output. Okay. Okay. So now we have a query that requires an index, and we don't have an index. So let's copy this. So this is a composite index for the tags collection, and we index by user ID and usage count. Wow, there is a bunch of indexes that we already have. So typically it should tell me that it's generating the index, but apparently that has already happened. Interesting. Let's run the app again. So the index is currently building, and we need to wait a little bit. You can see the status here. Can I click on this? No. I always thought you could click on hyperlinks in the Xcode build log. So this is creating. While we're waiting for this, let's see Xcode build MCP. Okay, I'm going to install this locally. Oops, I wanted to use iTerm. Okay, that's installed. And then we can copy this part here and go back to Antigravity, go into our MCP server configuration, manage MCP servers, view the raw configuration. Okay, let's make sure to not leak anything and put it here. Refresh. Here it is. How far is our index? Still creating. Okay. All right. Can you try compiling this application? Oop. Okay. User requested to compile the application after manual changes, and now it's using the tool to discover Xcode projects and schemas. Nice. So I'm curious as if this actually works. It's trying to detect the schemas in the project. Okay. Apparently it's found something and it's now oh yeah, it's found the main app. It's building for a simulator for iPhone 16. Interesting. Why iPhone 16? Okay, how is our index doing? Still creating. Really? Now it's enabled. Okay, so I will just run the app again from Xcode, hoping that this will not get in the way of the Xcode MCP server in the background. And then let's see what happens. Okay, still not any much better. User signed in. Well, what we can try, we can just add a new document. So let's find another blog post on the Firebase blog. Yeah, I think this is interesting. So share to Sophia, and now this dialog should have a tags field, right? Nice. So AI, oops, hello, what's this? Okay, so here it's trying to start a simulator. AI, comma, Firebase. Nah, I'm happy like, well, there you go. Yep, I want lowercase. Please use lowercase. No, use lowercase. This is really infuriating. And save. Okay, go back to the application. Here we go. What? Look at that. look at this. Wow, this is nice. So I wonder where it put the tags in the HTML. There you go. This is crazy. This is crazy. So, and let's, okay, so if we go here, we can see that. Perfect. Let's find another post. Let's go here, newsletter. This is my latest newsletter. If you aren't subscribed, you should totally do that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the previous issue, and then I'm going to come back to the next issue. And I'm doing that because this will give us a URL that has a number at the end. So share, add to Sophia. So here you can see the URL has the issue number at the end. In the beginning it didn't. So, and this one is news. This is something that always annoys me. So if you have an input field, it has auto capitalization turned on by default. And this would probably be the first time when, anyways, when we'd want to have something that helps us to rename a tag. So I'm going to say newsletter, SwiftUI. Was there Firebase in it? I have no idea, but there was Git in it. And let's try iOS/SwiftUI. Add. Go back to the app. What was that? It didn't work. Why did it not work? Let's try again. Share, Sophia. Maybe newsletter, SwiftUI. SwiftUI. Git. Save. Okay. Here we go. Oh, apparently the other save did go through. It just took some time. Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, let's be gracious and delete this one here for a moment. So SwiftUI gives us this, newsletter gives us this, Firebase gives us this, and now I'm gonna go to the home of my blog, and now let's go to something that definitely is about Firebase. Mapping Firestore data in Swift, the comprehensive guide. Look at that, 2021. Wow, it really is an old blog post. So, Firebase. Oh, do you remember if I use the hashtag? I didn't. Did I? Oh, we can try it out later. So Firebase Swift, Firebase Firestore. no, lowercase, please. Store this. And now we should have two articles that match the Firebase tag. Well, and look at that. It's apparently not updating this correctly. Let's look at the data. So here are our tags. Ooh. Well, okay, so okay. So the thing that I reacted to is the document IDs. If you look at the document IDs, you will notice a bunch of things here. First of all, they all seem to be the same, right? So they all start with PKUF, and you can see up here that they go on and then contain the name of the tag as a, on the trailing end. So the good thing about that is it helps to prevent collisions, but I have the slight worry that instead of just incrementing the usage count, we're just overriding this document. And then, in case you're wondering where this funny looking ID is coming from, so this is not a typical Firestore document ID, because they look like this, right? And if you look at here, you can see that they are pretty random and all over the place. So there's, they're really random. And here, they're not random at all. They all have the same prefix, and only just the suffix is different. So this is actually not such a great idea, because it can lead to, in German we say verklumpen. What is it in English? To clog up. Yeah, to clump together, there you have it. Firestore document IDs clustering. Let's do this differently. Is it a good idea to manually set Firestore document IDs and use a common prefix? Yeah, so here we go. So using a common prefix for those IDs is not a good idea, because it can lead to performance issues and hotspotting in Firestore. Let's see, where's the source? So manually setting IDs gives you control and predictability. Common use cases are mapping to existing data, creating human readable IDs. That is, yeah, I don't know if you should do that. Using IDs as data. The ID can double as another field within the document. That's, I think that's probably always a bad idea. Because what happens if you need to rename it? Then you'll have to rename your document IDs. Referential integrity. In some data modeling scenarios, using a known ID simplifies cross-referencing documents. Yeah, that is true. So, and then we've got hotspotting. Can we get, where is the link for that? Um, Okay, so how to avoid. Use random IDs by default. Use space prefixes if necessary. And by that, it doesn't mean to use a space character in between, but use random strings somewhere in the middle, right? So a bad hotspot is if you use dates, for example, because that can easily lead to hotspotting if because every single document that you create on that date will have the same prefix, and if you have lots of documents created, that will be a recipe for disaster. I don't know, like somehow the sources here, do they even belong to that? Well, anyways, let's come back to our database browser. Okay, so this is obviously a problem. And then let's filter. So now that we have the user ID, we can easily copy that and then filter all the artifacts by, where is the user ID? Add condition, no condition. Well, filter by field. We do have a UID, don't we? Where is it? User ID. It's user ID. User ID. Add condition equals to string. Okay, here we go. December, January. That's from today, is it? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here are our tags. And as promised, we only keep, that's also old. Well, no, yeah. That's from today. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that we're overwriting the value of the tag. Enable live updates, increment usage. That commit. Tag names decrement usage. Oh, also, apparently, compilation using Xcode build MCP worked. Compiled successful for the simulator, verified the build, confirmed that the fixes worked, updated. Okay, nice. Do we have more than one simulator window? No, it's just this one. Okay. Cool. Nice. Thanks very much. I tried the application and I am pleased to report that everything seems to work fine, but there are a bunch of issues. For example, I added 2 artifacts and I used the same tag on both of them. And I was expecting the tag to be incremented to 2 because now we have 2 artifacts for that. However, it turns out that the tag count is still at 1, and I worry a bit that we didn't actually increment the usage count, but just overwrote it. Can you please verify the code and make sure that we're correctly incrementing the tag value. So the interesting thing though is here I just saw this piece of code. Oh, that is very interesting. Oh, that's for decrement usage. Where do we have increment usage? Here we have increment usage. And increment usage. Ooh. Ah, look at that. Look. Ah, well. Okay, so what I saw was that we have field value.increment. So what that does is it will tell Firestore to increment the value of this field on the server, because let's be honest, even if you fetch the data first locally and then you increment locally and then write it back to the database, in the time that you've done that, somebody else might have updated the document in the meantime. And that means you're now overriding their update. So the only way how to prevent that from happening is to tell the server to perform that update for you. So that should technically happen here. But for some reason, it doesn't happen. So let's see if the AI can figure it out for us. Okay. I have inspected the code and you are correct. The logic for new tags was using set data with merge true, but setting usage count explicitly to 1, which would override any existing count if the tag already existed but wasn't yet in the local cache, which is a race condition. Well, technically, it should have updated that. Well, okay, let's see. All right, let's run the application on the iOS 17, well, not iOS 17, on the iPhone 17 Pro simulator that's already running. Here it is. Let's see. Let's see if Xcode built MCP is smart enough to understand what I mean. Okay, it queries the list of simulators. Yeah, it found a booted iOS 17 Pro simulator. Nice, nice. We're building. Also, if you stayed on the stream with me until now, hats off to you, because we've been streaming for almost 2 hours now. So I am mildly confused because it now seems to be booting up the iPhone 16 simulator. That is a bit weird. Ah, did you see that? I hit a snack. I inadvertently booted the other simulator. Yeah. It looks like the defaults were improperly updated, which led the simulation to mistakenly default to an iPhone 16. My next step is to correct the session defaults to use the correct iPhone 17 Pro ID. Nice. Okay. And there we go. So we can close this one. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna delete this one here. Yes, please delete. Go here. And then check out the tags. So this is Firebase, Firestore, Swift. Oops. Also, apparently, either we have a very frustrated user or a bot. On the stream. Okay, so we added that. Mapping Firestore data in Swift. We've got two items for Firestore, 2 items for Swift. Well, So I'm I'm not quite sure what the problem is here. So we've got, so this has Swift and this has Swift as well. That's great. So Firestore. That's what, okay, and it doesn't automatically remove the hashtag. So we've got Firestore here, Firebase is here, and here's hashtag Firebase, so that is not such a great idea. So let's try to update the metadata for this one. Go here, and then I'm going to delete this. Save. Oh, look at that. What happened here? Oh, I know what happened. We removed the tag, and so the tag is now empty. So this is now at 0. So we should probably tell the application if there is a tag that has no elements, you shouldn't display it. Okay. Good. Let's see. Let me try one other thing. So we've got this one is tagged as Git. Let's go and what? Oh, so this newsletter that I wrote, it contained an article about Git work trees. So let's actually go and read that and add it to the application. So where do we go? Why you should stop stashing and use work trees. So let's go here and let's add this article to the application as well. And I'm going to use the Git tag here. Nice. So the Git tag should have 2 articles now. And it has. Oh, and also it bubbled up to the top. Right. So these are sorted by frequency. Nice. So here we go, understanding Git work trees. Now I'm going to go in and remove the Git tag from iOS Swift UI and remove the Git tag from here. Save that. Go back. This article should now be removed. And if we go back to the root view, we should see only just 1 on the Git tag. And there we go. Nice. So yeah, I think it largely works. It largely works. There is still a bunch of things that are not ideal, but it largely works. Oh, let's try one more thing. So for this one, let's create a bunch more tags so that we have more than just 1 line. So what else did we have? Wow, those links are really, really large. That's okay. I obviously need to work on the code that simplifies the HTML. So I saw Xcode, I saw PDF, and let's just add these tags. No, I don't. Oh, come on. iOS, Xcode, PDF, and what else did we have? Oh, skills. And AI, obviously. Save this. Oh, what was that? Okay, so for some reason it crashed and we won't be able to see the crash, at least for now, because we ran this from here and not from Xcode. But the good news is that this is now on 2 lines here. Nice. Very, very nice. Very cool. Let's ask Antigravity if the implementation is complete now. So it seems like the implementation is mostly complete. Can you go through our implementation plan and what we've implemented, and then tell me if this is complete? And while it's doing that, let me quickly go and see what's happening on the live chat. content, live. Oh, we need to go into the studio. Okay, I think the poor person who bumped their interview really was rightfully upset. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully the next interview will be better. I'm really sorry about hearing that. But it seems like a fair grief. So not a bot. I've reviewed the implementation against the plan. Most items are complete, but I found one missing piece in the UI, and that would be, so data model is complete, including the logic fix for counts. Tag input is complete. Well, yes, basic version. Tag display is complete. Tag filtering. Oh, we didn't try that. So let's use the filter. Filter. So didn't it say that it added this to the filtering dialog? Maybe that is there you go. It's missing. I should have read this completely. I checked artifact list filter dialog, and while the filter struct has a tags property, the view body does not yet have a section to let you select tags. The plan mentioned add tag filtering logic for artifact list stream done and implied UI changes. Recommendation: I should add a tag section to artifact list filter dialog to let you toggle tags on and off. Shall I proceed? Let's open the implementation plan. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to find what it wants to change looking at this file, and it's not even a large or long file, right? So I'll just have to, can I search? No, you can't even search. That would be a useful feature. Command F. No. Okay, yeah, let's please proceed. Okay. Once you're done, you can run the app again. And this is actually something that really annoys me about MCP servers. It takes such a long time for coding agents to find the right tool and, use the tool, figure out if it's done the right thing, and then, there's a lot of back and forth between the coding agent and the model and the tool. So yeah, there needs to be a better way. I mean, I could have just gone to Xcode and pressed Command R. Which reminds me, isn't there XC-Swift? What's that? A Swift command line tool that parses and to parse and format Xcode build SPM output for coding agents optimized for token efficiency. usage. It's just for building, right? Or does it also support launching? Yeah, it's apparently for building mostly. Yeah. Oops. What? Here we go. Yet a different simulator. No. Why? Well. And here we go. Okay, so let's filter everything that has to do with Firestore and Swift. No artifacts. Oh wait, let's unfilter this. Okay, so the only thing that we can see because it's unread is the Git thing. So let's filter for Firestore and Swift. Good. Let's flag this. And then if we add the flagged, we should only see this one. That works. If we turn on the unread, we should see nothing. That's great. Let's flag this as well. Just see the flagged stuff. And then only flagged and AI. Nice. Okay, so this works. And I'm guessing that our friend here is currently working out the ID of the other simulator because it has figured out, oh my god, I launched the wrong simulator. It's... yeah. Even better if that would be easier. Okay. Ooh. Yes. Huh. So it's now trying a visual walkthrough. Let's see. That is interesting. So it mentioned that I wanted to add a new article. I can't see it. Well, okay, while it's doing that, I'm gonna open a new chat here. So it seems that running the application using Xcode build MCP is pretty slow and tedious because you are having a hard time figuring out what is the correct simulator, and there seems to be a lot of back and forth between the model, the tools, and the agent. Is there a way how we can launch the application more quickly from within this IDE? So while we're getting the answer on that, let me pull up the agent manager so we can see progress on our tasks. All right, this is still trying to find, oh yeah, so it's, is it actually looking in my home directory? Might be a long time. Oh, okay, so I created a task, hello? I created a launch task. Okay. So it's now building the whole thing from scratch, is it? Really? The goal is to reduce the friction and latency of launching the iOS application by automating the build and install process into a single script and agent workflow, bypassing the overhead of multiple granular MCP tool calls. Automation script. So create a script launch sh that accepts optional arguments, user Xcode build, uses xrun sim control to boot the simulator and launches the app. Create a workflow in .agent workflows launch. Okay. Do it. In the meantime, what's happening here? Still hasn't found anything. Okay. So this looks promising. There is yet another simulator. While it's doing that, let's take a quick look at what it did. So this is it's an agent workflow. That's interesting. So where is the script? Here's the launch script. iPhone 17 Pro. Find simulator ID. So I would definitely want to make sure that it's always using the latest iOS version. So we'll have to tell it that. And also, what is the problem with the failed build? is truly a problem. This is a warning. Yeah, so you can see that this is actually going to be a lengthy build log. So this will be hard to parse for the model because it's lots of stuff, and not only hard but also probably expensive. So we're trying this again. It's booting the simulator. Is there yet another one? Building the app. Build failed. Seems to be an issue with some of the build scripts. Maybe using the actual build MCP server was not such a bad idea after all. Run copy. What is going on? Wow. Okay, how is the other process doing? Yeah, mate, you're not gonna find those images here. I'm sorry, mate. I think you're not gonna be able to find those images. Oh. Okay, so for a moment there, I thought the agent was getting confused by two things running at the same time that do slightly different things, but it's now back on track. I'm utterly frustrated. Yes, I can relate to that. Well, listen, I think this is not going to lead to a solution. Can you please undo all the changes that you made in this conversation? Okay. Well, that's one of the good things, that the agents typically have a pretty good understanding of what they did, so they're doing a good job at undoing what they did, I feel like. Yeah, looking good. What about the agent workflow? This should also disappear. Yes, it's gone. Yeah, let's delete this as well. Okay. Let's go back to this. Now, what is happening here? Oh, look at that. Stuff is happening. I think in this one, right? Ooh. It's found a bug. Interesting. So let me bring the simulator to a point where we can see it. Or maybe let's put this on the right, like that. Minimize window. Oh wow, Lars, you've been here all of the time. Not bad, not bad. Hats off to that. Yeah, enjoy the rest of the evening, man. See you the next time. Oh, next time is next Monday, by the way. So stuff is happening over here. Apparently, I'm not doing anything. Look at that. So the agent is automating something. Let's see what is going on. Analyzing tag counts. It's going into archived. I mean, that is nice. I like that. Semi-automatic testing for free? Why not? I think it doesn't understand that we're in the archive section. Yeah, it seems I might have overlooked the inbox and archive components within it. I need to ensure a proper understanding. Yes, you do. Okay. Yeah, so the way how this works is it taps on X and Y coordinates. So that is why sometimes this might break. Confirming list view. So overall, I'm pretty happy with what we've achieved. I mean, if you, oh, hello. if you think back to what we've done, I've basically given the agent a simple description of a tagging feature, and then I gave it a more complete PRD, and it verified that its own implementation plan pretty much matched the PRD, and it tried to add more features to the implementation plan, and then we dialed it back a little bit. But we had an implementation plan, and then using that implementation plan, it implemented the UI and the data model and the data storage layer. And there was only one compile error, which was due to Swift concurrency, admittedly. And the only other issue was that there, was somehow an added artifact. So in one of the files, we had 2 or 3 lines of code that shouldn't be there. So we had an imbalanced closing curly brace, and I was able to spot that and remove that. I also fixed the problem with the concurrency issue. But other than that, it mostly worked, right? I mean, apparently it went in and found a bug and fixed the bug during its testing, which is still ongoing here. So I'm not, yeah, but I'm pretty impressed, to be honest, right? So there's lots of stuff that works. On the UI, we see the tags on the overview list. We have a filter dialog. We have a section on the overview page that shows us all the tags and their usage count. And the tags are rendered into the artifact preview in the details screen. And we've got the metadata dialog where we can enter the tags as a comma-separated list. So that is not bad for us just providing a pretty compact description of the feature. Okay, so and with that, the agent has verified the tagging workflow. And here's what it did. Artifact creation, it verified that adding an artifact with tags correctly updates the tag count in the system. The overview screen properly reflects these counts. Tag navigation, filter dialog works, and the app builds and runs without errors. Nice. Here is our walkthrough, and that is Pretty nice. Okay. Well done, mate. You did a good job. Okay, so I wonder what it will say to that, or if there is any next step, or a question for me maybe. Do you want to implement blah 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 feature as well? Nice. Okay, so let's look at the changes. Yeah, so the task list is complete. Yeah, we did all of that. Close others. Right. And here are our changes. Yeah. We added mock data, a new struct to manage our tag. We're managing our metadata, a tag remote store, an update to the artifact viewer. Okay, so apparently Gemini rather likes this kind of style, so I prefer Egyptian style indenting, but fair enough. Here's our section for the tags on the artifact editor view. We've got a flow layout to display our list of tags. Here's our filter dialog, artifact list row view, yeah, list screen. And the overview screen. Nice. So, as a final step, can you please go through the changes and group them semantically, and then suggest a couple of commits, including commit message, for adding them back into the branch that we're currently on. Oh, did you hear that? I'm hungry. So this is something that I run into very often. I start working on something and then I realize another problem, and then I start fixing that other problem as well. And then without knowing, or after a short while, you've got a bunch of stuff going on in your workspace, and then it's super complicated. What? Select an instance to terminate? Switch to agent manager. Mate, what is going on? And so you've got a bunch of stuff going on in your workspace, and they might or might not be related to each other. So I found that you can tell coding agents to atomically commit your changes or group them, and they're pretty good at grouping them together in a meaningful way. So let's see what it came up with. Can we scroll? Yes, we can. So group 1, core tagging data and model logic. Nice. Suggested message. Implement tagging, data model and remote store. Great. Tagging UI components, that makes sense. And then tag interaction and filtering and navigation. Yes. Yes, please. This all sounds good to me. And there we go. We've got our commits, and you can see all the changes that are in here. Nice. It's up to date with the tagging implementation. I'm ready for the next task. So let's copy this PRD again. Hello, where is the copy? Copy as markdown. I think we have achieved enough for today, but for our next session, I want you to review the following PRD and tell me what's the gap and what we might want to look into next time. Please don't make any changes. So here are the gaps. Recommended next session. Yeah, okay. So the gaps, we verify tag usage counts using a client-side function. When saving an artifact, the PRD specifies a cloud function to maintain these counts. This is crucial for data integrity, avoiding race conditions, and ensuring counts correct even if a write happens from a different client or fails halfway. Then for renaming and deleting tags, a tag management UI, yeah, maybe, and enhancing the tagging experience using a rich picker. Yep. So for next time, it recommends implementing cloud functions. So we'll have to set up a local emulator or a deployment environment for Firebase functions, implement a update tags on artifact write function to handle usage count automatically, and then implement rename tag and delete tag to allow safe atomic updates, and then connect the UI to the tag management. Yeah, so that's a great idea. With that, we'll wrap it up here, and I invite you to join me again next Monday at 8 o'clock in the evening, Central European Time. I'm super happy with what we've achieved today, and I'm quite confident that we'll be able to improve the implementation by adding this backend logic to the app next time. So tune in January 19th, next Monday, 8 o'clock Central European Time. Until then, Have a nice rest of the evening, and I'll see you in the next one.